What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ, and in today's video, we're back at it with some more NBA player props for tonight's single game NBA slate. Unfortunately, we've only got one game to talk about. It's the Los Angeles Clippers at the Dallas Mavericks. The Clippers are looking to avoid elimination and push this game into a Game 7. So it should be a very good game, despite there only being just one game to pick some of these player props from. But I think I've done my best here to put together 5 strong plays, so we're going to go over those in just a moment. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. All the player props in today's video have about a 1-hour shelf life after this video gets uploaded. PrizePicks has agreed to not touch them for the first hour or so until this video goes live. So you have a little bit of time to go and lock them in. So it's so important that notifications are turned on. So as soon as this video goes up, you can click play and you can get all the picks and go lock them into your lineups if you're liking any of them. Maybe you're liking none of them. You know what I mean? So yesterday's video, we ended up getting, I think, 2 out of the 5 picks correct. Michael Porter Jr. came out guns blazing. He hit his 3-point prop with no problem. We had some near misses with Aaron Gordon and Campazzo in their points props. They basically just barely got over the hump, and so, you know, unfortunately we took the unders on them and they went over. Nikola Jokic crushed, but Damian Lillard was the big surprise. I think everybody had a little bit of recency bias coming off of that big 50-plus point game that he had where he hit the 12 three-pointers, set the NBA record for threes. I think there were some folks that were a little gun shy, and I can't blame you. I told you yesterday in the video that A, the picks were looking a little rough because PrizePicks had moved so much of the player props around, and B, that, hey, it's going to be a little bit gutsy here. You're going to have some cojones to play the under on a guy like Jokic or Lillard. Now, Lillard ended up paying off, but unfortunately, Jokic went over. But anyways, today, most of these picks feel pretty safe. There is one guy that we're going to talk about that doesn't feel quite as safe, so we'll get into that in just a moment. If you don't play on PrizePicks, now's a great time to join PrizePicks. It's 100% promo deposit match, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you just have to use promo code Curry. If you put in anywhere from $20 to $100, they're going to instantly match that deposit on your first deposit. So you put in 100, they're going to give you 100. You're going to have $200 to play with over on PrizePicks, which should be a lot of money there for you to use to hopefully make more money throughout the rest of these NBA playoffs. So definitely sign up today on PrizePicks if you don't play yet. Promo code Curry at the bottom of the screen here. You can see the banner. I'll leave a link down in the description below where you can go and sign up for PrizePicks. All right. Let's look at this game today. We've got the Los Angeles Clippers at the Dallas Mavericks. As I mentioned before, we've got a 217 implied point total with the Dallas Mavericks as 3-point underdogs against the Clippers tonight. So it looks like the Clippers have a little bit of a chance here to potentially take this thing to a Game 7. Now, I don't know. It's a close spread, but the Vegas lines makers, the odds makers over there, seem to favor the Los Angeles Clippers tonight. So hopefully the Dallas Mavericks put up a good fight and it's not another blowout. I just can't stand whenever our nights are ruined by these big blowout games. So I got 2 points props that I want to talk about. The first guy is Kristaps Porzingis. Now, this was the one that I was talking about where, you know, like some of the picks from yesterday's video, you have to have a little bit of guts, a little bit of courage to play this guy. Why? Well, he hasn't had the strongest series so far against this Los Angeles Clippers team, whether it be a lack of interest, whether it be trade rumors that have swirled around his name for the last year or two, whether it be I don't know, just a lack of passion or fire or desire to play. I have no idea, but Kristaps Porzingis just hasn't been getting it done when you look at his season averages versus his averages in this series so far. But this is one of those situations that I would say is a buy low opportunity. If you think about, you know, buying stocks, or if you think about buying cryptocurrency, whatever it is that you're into, we look for these opportunities, these dips in market value. And, you know, I think this is a good one here with Kristaps Porzingis. Both his points and his rebounds kind of stood out to me as opportunities where we could take the overs. You're never going to see Kristaps Porzingis down at 15.5 points again. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that for the rest of this NBA playoffs. If he, you know, dips below 15.5, I'd be really surprised. Let's just say that. So let's get into it real quick. Let's go ahead and go back to Number Fire here. We'll do a little search for Kristaps Porzingis, and we'll see where they've got him projected today. So he is projected at 16.4 points, which makes him a favorite to go over his 15.5 point prop. So that should be the way that we're looking here, is the over on Porzingis. As I said, this is one of those opportunities where, you know, he's not going to get any cheaper than this. If you're going to get on the Kristaps Porzingis train, now is the time to do it. I mean, either two things are going to happen here. He's going to continue being a bum. Maybe he really, truly is a bum, or maybe the Clippers just have his number in this series, and he's just not going to be able to, match those season averages that we've come to know Kristaps Porzingis for. Or the other thing could happen is he could bust out, break out. This could be a game where finally the fire, the passion is lit inside of him. He finds that inner dog, and he finds a way to get it done against this Clippers team. So, I'm hoping for the latter, because I'm looking to take the over on Porzingis tonight and look to target this situation as one where maybe he, is pedal to the metal, full gas, no brakes. He finally wakes up and puts the Los Angeles Clippers away. So that's what I'm banking on. Anyway, he's averaged 20.1 points per game this season. So that's his regular season average, which is, a few points higher than this 15.5 points. So this is, again, another opportunity where we know Kristaps Porzingis can score 20 or more points anytime he wants. He just hasn't been getting it done. Now we're going to look at the playoff averages here for him so far. He's appeared in 5 games, playing about 32 minutes per game. 13.8 points per game. Now you compare that 13.8 to this 20.1 season average, and you're just like, what the heck's going on here with Kristaps Porzingis? Now, I've looked into some of his stats in the past, and in the regular season, he did tend to struggle against this Clippers team. But at some point, enough has to be enough, and this guy has to break out. That's what I'm banking on. That's what I'm counting on. Now, if you look at his rebound numbers too, we're not going to talk about it in depth, but 4.4 rebounds per game in this series as well, which is obviously less than his 8.9 rebound per game average, which is almost 9 rebounds per game. So it's like his rebounds have been cut in half in this series, which is just totally crazy. Totally crazy. Big drop-offs from his season averages to his playoff averages. You got to hope that he finds the guts to step up to the plate here and help Luka Doncic out, so Luka doesn't have to do everything and be super Luka. So anyway, let's head over to RotoWire, where we can look at some of the various sports books. We can kind of get a side-by-side comparison at how the folks out there are putting their money down on this Kristaps Porzingis point prop. And they've got him at 15.5 here over on DK, a minus 122 to go over. Now, these other two books, they've got him at 16.5 points. So we see him at a minus 116 here to go under 16.5, and a minus 125 here to go under 16.5. So, between 15.5 and 16.5 lies 16. So it looks like it's setting up for a prediction of about 16 points. So we go back to those projections. He's at 16.4 points, which kind of all lines up here. So I'm definitely liking the over on Kristaps Porzingis. Fingers crossed that he can finally break out here, get over the hump, and get closer to those 20 point per game averages that he saw throughout the regular season. So there you have it. All right, the next guy I want to talk about is Reggie Jackson of the Los Angeles Clippers. Reggie Jackson has low-key been playing very good basketball lately. And I've got 2 different ways that I like playing Reggie Jackson tonight. One is going to be his point prop of 13.5 points. Another way that you could go here, if you don't want to take his point prop, is look at his 3-point prop at 2.5 3-point make. So we'll talk about both because we're going to talk Reggie Jackson 2 different ways here. If you don't like his points, well, then maybe you like his 3-point prop more. Maybe you take both and you split them up and put them in 2 different entries. You could always go that way too and kind of hedge your bets. So let's look at Reggie Jackson here over on Number Fire. We'll type in his name. You can see that his projected points are at 13.2. Now, that would indicate that maybe we should be thinking about going under on Reggie Jackson, but I would say not so fast. These projections might not be completely accurate, and there's a good reason for that. So if we head over to Basketball Reference in this case, let's go ahead and do a search for, that is not what I wanted. I guess I'm going to have to really search here. Basketball Reference. Stay with me here. Stay with me. I promise we're going to get there. And we click on Reggie Jackson's name. Make this a little bit bigger for you guys at home. And then we scroll on over here. You can see that his playoff points per game are at 13.6. Now, what skews this a little bit is the following. We're going to get into his game logs, and you're going to see why that number is a little bit skewed. His very first game in this series, he played just 21 minutes, went 1 for 6, and he put up just 2 points. Yeah, 2 points in that game. So that 2 points in that very first game has thrown everything out of whack here. If you look at the other games here, 15 points, 16 points, 15 points, and 20 points. He has 4 games in a row where he has went over 13.5. He's been covering this prop with ease. Another thing that he's been doing is shooting the ball way better and getting a lot more minutes. So his minutes were at 21. Now they're up to 30, 33, 30, and 28. He's also went from just 6 field goal attempts in the first game to 12, 12, 12, and 16. His 3-point attempts also on the rise. Just 3 attempts in his first game. Now he's at 8, 10, 8, and 12. And in those last 4 games, he's made 3, 4, 3, 6. So he's been covering that 2.5 3-point prop with ease. So when the projections say that, oh, he's projected to go a little bit under 13.5 points, I don't believe it, just based on these averages that we've seen in these outputs, 20, 15, 16, and 15. I mean, that puts him at, like, I don't know, 16 or more points per game. He's been covering the 13.5 with ease. So I'm going against the grain a little bit here on Reggie Jackson, but as you can see, I think there's a good case to be made to go against Vegas in this case. So we look at Reggie Jackson here on the various sports books. You can see at 13.5 points, minus 139 to go under, a minus 126 to go under, and a minus 128 to go under. So all 3 books agree that the under is the way to go on this 13.5 point prop. The projections are close, but they also indicate that we should be leaning toward the under on Reggie Jackson. But again, guys, this is one of those situations where I feel like being contrarian, feel like being different on Reggie Jackson and these Vegas lines. I like taking the over on Reggie Jackson. He's just been super consistent over the last handful of games, and I hope that he continues that tonight. So let's go look at his 3-point props real quick and just see how Vegas lines up on those. Once again, we've got him at 2.5 3-point makes across 2 different books. Not seeing super strong action here either way, but a little bit of an edge to the under, minus 115. And then over here, he's even at minus 113 under and minus 113 over. But again, you've seen the game logs. You've seen the consistency out of Reggie Jackson. Is the regression monster going to rear its ugly head? I mean, it's possible, right? We are gambling after all. This is a risk. Nothing's a lock. Nothing's for sure. But, you know, when you have the consistency that Reggie Jackson has over his last 4 games, covering that point prop of 13.5 with ease, covering that 3-point prop with ease, man, you know, it's just hard not to like the overs for Reggie Jackson in this case. All right, so the next guy I want to talk about is Paul George. Now, his assist prop is at 4. Now, typically, if you know me and you know that these videos that I make, 4 assists, I normally don't like taking any props that are rounded up or rounded down. In this case, I think most of the books have him at 4.5 assists where people are betting the under. In this case, he's at 4. So they've rounded it down to 4 to kind of cover their butts, we'll say. So at 4 assists, though, I still think that there is some good value here at taking the over on Paul George, and I think you're going to see why here. So let's move over to Number Fire. We'll click the assist column. Let's type in Paul George's name. And you can see that he is projected for 4.8 assists, which puts him closer to 5 assists than it does 4. So, guys, worst case scenario, let's say this projection is somewhat accurate, which Number Fire has been pretty accurate here in the past. I think worst case scenario, he ends up pushing. Now, on PrizePicks, if you push, in other words, if you tie, you still get paid. You don't get quite, as much money, but you still do get paid out on a push. So I think worst case scenario, this sets up for a push, but best case scenario, I see him going over 4 assists. So let's move ahead here. We'll go into NBA.com, take a look at Paul George's numbers here. And you can see that his season averages are going to be higher than the projected 4 assists over on PrizePicks. He's actually at 5.2 assists per game for the season. So let's go look and see how that compares to his playoff averages so far in the assist category. So it's down a little bit. He's at 4.8 assists, but still at 4.8 assists, that gives us at least some hope that he gets close to 5 assists or more tonight. So I'm not totally mad at that at all. And let's go look at his game logs while we're at it and see how well he's been dishing out dimes here in his last few games. We'll go to his game logs, 2021. Let's scroll all the way down to get to the playoff category. And you can see that he's got assist numbers of 5, which covers, 6, which covers, 4, that's a push, 3, that's an under, he would not cover there, and then finally 6. So he's got, 3 games out of 5 where he's covered. He's got 1 game where he's pushed and just 1 game where he went under. And that one, we have to point out, he played 35 minutes, which was a low for him in this series so far. So I expect him to play a lot more than 35 minutes tonight. 38, 40 minutes sounds reasonable. I would also expect that his assist numbers and all the rest of his numbers would go up the more that he's out on the floor. So things are looking good here for Paul George in this assist prop, in my opinion. Now we're going to go over here and look at the various sports books. As I mentioned, he's at 4.5 assists across 3 different sports books, which is a little different here than what they have him up at PrizePicks. But 4.5, they got him at -167 under, -158 under, and a -161 under. So looks like it's setting up for 4 assists for Paul George tonight. So like I said, worst case scenario, you take the over and you hope for a push, but I would expect a overplay here on Paul George based on everything that we're seeing so far. So there you have it. The next guy I want to talk about is Dorian Finney-Smith and his rebound prop of 4.5. It just seems entirely too low. His rebounding averages for this series so far are like well over 4.5 rebounds, 5 or more if I'm not mistaken. So let's take a look at DFS here and see how well he's been doing in his recent rebounding averages. So we're going to type in his name first, get a projection for him. He's got 5.4 projected rebounds. Now, obviously that puts him over the 4.5 mark. We just need him to pull in 5 or more boards in this case, which seems completely doable based on these projections so far. So we're going to head back over to NBA.com. Let's type in Dorian Finney-Smith's name, do a little search action here for him. You can see for the season, 5.4 rebounds per game. Again, this is a guy who can pull in 5 or more boards on any given night, no problem. Let's click the stats here. We're going to dig in and look at how he's performed in this series so far. He's played in 5 games in this series, averaging 38 minutes, getting a good amount of run. And in this series so far, 5.8 rebounds per game, putting him over the 4.5 mark with no problem. Actually putting him close to 6 rebounds per game, guys. So I think there's definitely a lot of credibility here to taking the over on Dorian Finney-Smith. Let's pull up his game logs real quick, though. I want to take a look at those and see how he's performed on a game-to-game basis here. So we scroll all the way down to the bottom. Look at the TRB. That stands for total rebounds. 5 boards, that covers. 5 boards, that covers. 7 boards, that covers. 8 boards, that covers. And then finally, he comes up just short here with just 4 rebounds in that game. So this is another good reason for me to target going over on Dorian Finney-Smith. I like targeting those guys who maybe are coming off of a bad game or a below or subpar game in a certain single stat category like this one, rebounds. This is a good spot for a bounce back for DFS in my opinion. So I'm going to take the over on the rebound so far. Nothing's knocking me off course based on what I'm seeing. And last but not least, we've got him at 4.5 boards across the industry today. -127 to go over, -132 to go over, and a big -139 to go over. So for once, I actually agree with Vegas, and I agree with these sports books. I think it just makes too much sense to take the over here. So I'm going with it, not really questioning it based on what I've been able to dig up here on Dorian Finney-Smith and these rebounds. All right. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. We buzzed through 5 different prop picks. Which ones are you liking? Leave a comment down in the comment section below. I appreciate everybody who left a comment yesterday. The comment section in this video was absolutely buzzing. I appreciate all the insight and the input that you guys leave down in the comments section. Let's try to make it another day with at least 40 or more likes. We're on a 3-day streak of 40 or more likes. I'd like to keep that momentum going. Double check, make sure you're subscribed, make sure notifications are turned on, and I'll catch you in the next video, guys. Good luck tonight. Peace out.